Last week, we began the journey to paying for college. We talked about all the moving parts. We talked about how overwhelming things can be. And we talked about how we're going to dispel that over the next few weeks and how we're going to help you make it less and less overwhelming. So one of the things we talked about was plan early. And the earlier you start to plan, the easier it gets. The later you wait, the more difficult it gets. And the reason why is the same amount of stuff needs to get done, but now it has to get done in a lot shorter period of time, and you have a lot less choices. So you want to start as early as you can. So these videos are going to deal with these things, regardless of whether you're the parent of somebody in junior high school or elementary school or someone applying for college right at the moment. And we're going to try to deal with it on all levels and give you ideas of what you can do to make it a little bit better. One thing we talked about was grades, and that's pretty much the most intuitive part of the process because everybody knows the better your grades are, the more opportunities you have, the more scholarships, the different colleges you can get into, all that kind of nice stuff. But what people don't realize is that that's a lot different today than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's just all changing. One of the things that's changing is that colleges are looking at things in a much more holistic way. Now, there are some very, very selective colleges that will say, if you don't have certain numbers, you can't get in. So if you're looking at an Ivy League type school and you're not close to valedictorian, have close to the highest grades on your ACT or SAT, chances are you're not getting in. That's the way it goes. And then there are other schools that will look at you and say, well, you had great grades, all these other things went on, but you didn't do so well on your SAT. Why is that? See, now having done this kind of planning for the last 18 or so years, I've noticed that a lot of great students don't test very well. So what happens is you have a student with a 99 average that gets an 1100 on the SAT. What happens then? What happens is some schools say, well, you don't have a high enough SAT grade, sorry. Some college advisors in your high schools will say, take a little bit better of a test. Take the ACT that you test better at. Some of the colleges will look at it and say, why? And they'll figure out that you don't test well, but you're a really great student. So when you're looking at the process, number one, you want to get the highest grades you can, but you want to become the best overall student that you can, and you want to portray that to the colleges you may be applying to. That starts early because you do have control over certain things. As you go through junior high school and high school, you can study more. You can do more extracurricular activities. You can build your SAT score by understanding your weaknesses and strengths and maybe going to the right kind of tutor, spending a little bit more time doing the things you need to do to get those grades up, and then learn how to present yourself to the colleges that you want to apply to and finding the colleges that will be looking for the student like you. It's a process. It takes time, it's overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be as bad as people make it. I get people that come to me, my student is a junior, I don't know what to do, we've done nothing. And then I have people that have been planning all the time, the whole way. So the easier you make it on yourself, the better off you'll be. If you do need help, we could take a lot of that pressure off. We could take a lot of the overwhelming off the table for you. Give us a call, 718-980-3737. Or take a look at our website. There's a lot of resources there for you to make this a lot easier. CWMG-LLC.com. Next week, we'll talk about some more things that you really have control over and can make the process a little better. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.